Hello my lovelies and welcome to Eargasms, an audiobook review show where we delve into the world of contemporary and indie romance books that make you go So I've been humming and ahhing about how to start with this particular offering. It isn't that I'm running scared of the subject matter, not at all. I'm happy with fetishy fictional fantasies as I am with reassuringly familiar trope of happily ever after. My fear is that on this occasion I shall be needing to reach for my red pen to mark this week's homework because, spoilers, my review is likely to contain more content that stings rather than which soothes and comforts. I generally don't like slagging people's work off, mainly because, despite what you've heard, I'm not here to be bitchy. That would be such an easy route to attract listeners. Just pretend to hate everything and fill my broadcast with cheap shots and snide put-downs. But that's not why I started this channel. I have to give you, dear listener, my honest opinion. With that said, here we go. Spanked by their Mistress, Naughty Boys and Girls by Greco. A collection of short erotic stories with one thing in common. Everybody gets a good spanking. From an older woman stumbling into a mutual interest with her ex-daughter-in-law to a college student home for the summer holidays and learns something new about himself from his best friend's stepmother. Naughty boys and girls taking pleasure in being spanked by an authoritative woman. Narrated by Louise Cooksey, her narration sounds great at the first paragraph of the first chapter. Then things take a sharp turn. Her vocalization of the inner thought and dominant female is sweet, melodic, and appealing. But the problem comes when she does dialogue from the submissive POV. It sounds so close to the pitch of a child, it really makes me feel uncomfortable. Not even an adolescent, a child. Ugh. Then we come to the second chapter. With audios, unless there's a change in voice or announcement of a new chapter, like Chapter 2, Anne's House, it's hard to know you're listening to a new story. The second chapter starts from a male POV, and she used exactly the same voice. There was no differentiation, change of tone or rhythm. It was literally the same voice. She didn't even take a breath. It was the same voice. Previous chapter was written from a female POV. I genuinely thought they'd all gone to Anne's house. The transition between the first chapter and the second left me really jarred. I had to scroll through my mind and think, when did they mention that the girl had a willy? Each story started right in the middle of a spanking scene. Then they gave us a little bit of background during the heated scene, pulling you right out of the moment. We didn't get a sense of how, where, or what happened prior to the spanking, leaving me not to care why they're taking six of the best. I found it puzzling, and one of the stories that the submissive had to explain what a safe word was to the dominant. It was just crazy. And in every story, the mention of creamy white skin. But all the characters had alabaster skin, so I'm not sure why it was mentioned each and every time. I couldn't lose myself in the story. And a note to all budding authors, not all your readers will be of the Caucasian variety. And now another pet peeve. I don't think the word tummy belongs in any romantica. Come on, roll over on your tummy. Author Greco is also the editor-in-chief for international fashion latex magazine Von Gutenberg, a sex columnist, a reviewer of short and sweet NYC.com, and a regular contributor to Things Women Want, Orgasm.com, and many others. He's also a web-based DJ and a radio show co-host. Okay, here's my review of the book. Okay, where do I start? I've worked with the theory that a story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Yes, they are short, but stories? Out of the 8 short stories, none of them followed this premise. The stories felt unfinished, and I was waiting for a big reveal or even a subtle twist, but that never came. This is a great example of when the audiobook does a real disservice to the actual book. I'm not even keen to read it, it's just put me off. This book took me like 2 days. Actually, I'll say 2.5 days to finish. And it's only 3 hours long. It was painful to get through. And the artwork, I mean, what is it? It's a cartoon. It's really off-putting. I don't know how that cover relates to spanking. So here are my ratings. For the narration, I'll give it a 2. Some of the dialogue was okay, and I guess she was simply working with what she was given. For me, the sex scenes, it's a 1. I just couldn't get lost in it. The explanation of what was going on, it felt kind of more like you were playing Twister. Right arm there, left leg there. It just wasn't free-flowing, and I didn't get turned on by it whatsoever. And my overall ratings. This is also a 1. I dislike people giving a book bad reviews simply because it's not the trope or genre that they're into. That's ridiculous, and it really does anger me. So that's not the reason why I'm giving it such a low score. This book just wasn't for me. With a running time of 3 hours and 23 minutes, I will leave some links on below so that you can check it out. If you have read it, can you please leave a comment below? If you enjoyed it, if you didn't, if you think that I should read it again instead of listening. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And that's it for this edition of Eargasm. Please like, comment and subscribe.